Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The early 1970s was a classic time for American road drama films. And in 1974, John Hoff gave us Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry, which was a movie based on a 1963 novel by Richard Unikas that was titled The Chase and later retitled Pursuit. The film stars Peter Fonda, Susan George, Adam Roark, and Vic Morrow. The film follows Larry Rader as he aspires to become a NASCAR driver, along with Deke Summers, who works as a mechanic. They believe they possess the skills necessary to succeed in this field, but their ambitions are hindered by the lack of funds to construct the optimal racing machine. Consequently, they resolve to rob a supermarket to obtain the money stored in its safe, with the sole aim of financing their dream. The robbery proceeds largely as planned, but complications arise during the final stages of it, resulting in less time for their escape than they had originally anticipated. An additional problem they encountered was an unforeseen complication in the form of Mary Coombs, a woman with whom Larry had had a brief one-night stand. You see, Mary is displeased with Larry's abrupt departure after this night of pleasure, but ultimately claims that she has no interest in the stolen money at all. Equipped with a police scanner and a two-way radio in their modified Charger, they attempt the entire film to avoid law enforcement, who have identified their vehicles and possess a general description of the trio. This pursuit is spearheaded by the determined sheriff Everett Franklin, who's confident in his ability to apprehend them. But he's also aware that the three may find a route to freedom through a nearby grove of walnut trees, the knowledge of which Larry, Deke, and Mary may or may not possess. Throughout this harrowing experience, Larry must demonstrate his prowess as a driver while at the same time trying to shake off Mary, who proves to be more resourceful in staying with them than he had expected. The movie is what you would call a textbook drive-in exploitation flick that keeps things very simple. The trio of outlaws tear through rural farm towns and across dirt roads and two-lane highways, dodging tenacious cops that are in pursuit. And all along the way they bicker and argue as they outrun the slower police cars with their souped-up Chevy Impala that they trade in for a lime green 1969 Dodge Charger RT, which makes the chase start all over again. It's a pretty simple film. Car races, chases, and crashes. And occasionally there would be times where things would come to a halt long enough for the actors to get in a little bit of dialogue. While all 6 of the 1972 Dodge Polara police cars were completely destroyed during filming, nobody knows what happened to the 2 1966 Chevrolet Impalas used in the film. It's unsure if they were destroyed during filming or what actually happened to them later. But fans of the movie, however, did manage to find out what happened to 3 of the Dodge Chargers that were used in the movie. The 1968 RT Charger was mostly used for the crash scenes and was originally used in the train crash scene. However, something went wrong during filming, and the car got completely destroyed. The film crew had to use a second Charger, which was a 1969 base coupe model, for another attempt at this shot, and this time they got the scene right. The last Charger was a 1969 RT model, and it was kept by the studio, who then sold it to a fan of the film pretty soon after the movie was released. He restored the car, which still had all the damage from the filming. He kept the car for a few years, but sadly, his ex-wife had an accident while driving the car when she and her sister drove over the ramp of the freeway and took out the guardrail. Although the two of them survived, the Charger was completely destroyed. You'll see Roddy McDowall in a small role in the film, playing the supermarket manager that gets robbed. He did this role not for fame or fortune, but just as a favor to the director, with only one request, that his name be kept out of the credits. It's also said that Peter Fonda did most of his own driving in the film, often hitting speeds of well over 100 miles per hour. Initially, the film had a musical score that was done by Jimmy Haskell, but none of that score was left in the final cut of the film. The director rejected it because after seeing early cuts of the movie with that score in it, he realized that although the score was great, it made the movie seem too warm and lighthearted and altered the tone and the atmosphere of the whole project. So in the final cut of the film, the only music you hear is Marjorie McCoy's song, "Time Is Such a Funny Thing," playing at the opening and ending credits. And there's also some incidental radio music that's heard in a couple of the scenes. Now, Vic Morrow plays the role of Franklin, and in this project, he insisted on a $1 million life insurance policy before he would film any scenes that involved him being in a helicopter. He told the production company that if they wouldn't insure him for that, he would walk off the picture. His wish was granted, and he very reluctantly agreed to fly in the chopper. When he was asked why he wanted this policy, he replied to the producers that he had always had a premonition that he would be killed in a helicopter crash. And of course, that's exactly what happened to him. In July of 1982, he was killed, along with 2 children, when a helicopter was brought down by special effects explosions right on top of them while they were filming Twilight Zone, the movie. Morrow was decapitated by the helicopter's main rotor, as was one of the children. The other child was completely crushed to death by the frame of the helicopter. Incidentally, famed stunt coordinator Larry McCarthy, who was one of the passengers inside the helicopter that killed Morrow, also appeared in this film as a state trooper. Go back and take a look at this film. It's not a great film by any means. It does have a cult following, but it's still fun to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.